What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the All Pro JAFFOs, where we bring you the highly elevated sports talk for a highly elevated sports fan. I'm your host, JP.
Hey, yo.
And alongside me, as always, the 6'10 beast from the southeast, Mr. Country K.
Konnichiwa, people.
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.
And ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the year. It is the beginning of what we call the NFL football season. I love hearing it every time, and I love hearing it and seeing it now. But football is back, people. NFL season has begun, and the Buffalo Bills and the LA Rams are going at it Thursday night football to start off the year. And just now, the Buffalo Bills scored a touchdown to go up 16-10 to begin the second half. Pending the extra point, we're looking at 17-10, and we're back to the watch-alongs on Thursday nights for Thursday night football as well as Monday night football. So this is going to be a year that we are going to love and enjoy. And looking at fantasy football now, Mad Sticks is at this point right now kicking my ass. He's beaten me 29-10 with just Diggs and Allen. Yeah. And I only have my kicker playing. So a whole long, like, he's still projected to lose by 20 points, but if Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs go off, then I might be looking at some trouble going down the line here.
Trouble.
But Kay, now that football season has begun. Oh wait, actually, hold on. Before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen, later on in the show at 7:30, we have the absolute pleasure to have a conversation with the co-founder of the UFC and an advisory board member for the A7FL, David Issacs. He is going to be on with us at 7:30 to talk about the old days of UFC and what possible things in the future that can happen with them. So it's going to be an interesting conversation to have with him. But for now, again, it's going to be all football until we talk to David, and then after we talk to David, it's probably going to be some more football. But early predictions, Kay, you had some grievances to air out with some people who were questioning your football knowledge.
Yeah. My friends back at home. I mean, everybody knows you got friends. You're gonna debate and all that stuff. I mean, it is what it is. At this point, I'll say it like this. I'll give you guys one talking point that we had, right? Chris, I fucking love you. I'm going to say this shit ahead of time before I go there. I love you, and you know you're my dog. You know what I'm saying? But we both know I'm not capping about nothing I'm going to say. And that refers to Chris Rainey. I'm not capping about nothing I'm saying. All right. So one of the talking points we had was about because one of my friends, he was in fantasy, and he was like, he had one guy on that's playing right now. He got Tyler Higbee, and he's a Rams fan though, so he's kind of torn because the other person that he's playing against, I think they got Josh Allen, and they had like somebody else. I don't know. They had somebody else on the thing. So we were just having a conversation about it, and I was just saying that how he was gonna lose. And one of my strongest points about how he was going to lose is because Derrick Henry's playing the Giants, the New York Football Giants. I'm like, Derrick Henry's probably going to go for 50. After a lot of, back and forth and stuff like that, my biggest thing was, the biggest thing that I was saying, which is more likely, Derrick Henry tearing his ACL or Derrick Henry going for 50 against the New York Football Giants? And I said 50. Like, that's just being honest. It's more likely for him to do that than him getting hurt. It's like, yeah, he got hurt the last 2 years, but he got hurt because of overuse. You see what I'm saying? They use him too motherfucking much. That's all that shit is. They got Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, so you don't have a serviceable quarterback. You have good receivers and no quarterback. So you sitting there relying on your running back to do everything. The man gonna get hurt. Like, what do you think was gonna happen? Like, I told him this analogy. I said, you're running the ball 40 times in a 16-game season. You think he ain't gonna get hurt? Like, those are a lot of touches, man. CMC, that was their comparison. CMC. They like, he likes CMC. And I'm like, no, they're not the same. I'm like, at least Ryan Tannehill gets a chance to actually throw the ball and try to do some shit. He stink up the field, but he tried to do some. Well, I ain't gonna say that because he's been playing decent. I can't give him no more than decent. Decent is literally the highest I can go for Ryan Tannehill. You've been being decent. I feel like Mike Vrabel been doing a motherfucking magician's work, but that's between everybody in the goddamn NFL. So, they saying they're like him and CMC is equivalent. And I'm like, no, because CMC, they ain't got shit over there. Every time CMC playing, he touching the ball mandatory 30 times. Mandatory. See what I'm saying? Like, it's like you can literally look that up. He's damn near getting that bitch 30 times. Like, whether it's catching out the goddamn backfield, whether it's running the ball at the back, he's touching the ball at least 30 times in the game when he's healthy or playing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't necessarily sit here and compare the two of them. It's like, nah, I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? I said that CMC is like Chris Rainey because all of us are from the same city. They went to my rival high school. They obviously was over there mad as shit when we was winning all them goddamn games. See what I'm saying? So I'm going to Lakeland. I don't gotta be on the team to know that this, like, they broadcast everything. You see what I'm saying? I have classes with these men. I knew these people before we went to high school. You see what I'm saying? I'm asking, like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, or you hear, like, oh shit, Chris got to get a surgery. Oh, Chris got to do this. Or me trying to get on the fucking football team and the people I'm hanging out, I'm doing bad decisions, dumb decisions, and have to lead the team. You see what I'm saying? Like, I was there. Like, my point of saying all this, I was there. So I knew what was going on. The man didn't like working out. He got hurt when he was in high school. That was the thing. And they were saying, well, he didn't get hurt like that with the Steelers. I'm like, yeah, because they drafted him as a return specialist. You see what I'm saying? They said, I'm like, yeah, because they drafted him as that, as a return specialist. I'm like, you think Chris Rainey could have did what Le'Veon Bell was doing? No. I'm like, Chris Rainey is not a power back. They're a power run team when they had Big Ben and all them receivers and shit. That's what they running back. That's what they asked their running backs to do. Power run.
At that time, yeah.
Be a power runner because we gonna throw the ball as much as we can because we have fucking goddamn AB and goddamn Juju. You get what I'm saying? Or whoever the fuck the other guy before Juju was drafted. Hines Ward. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, dog. Like, you can't sit here and compare the two. And then especially when you go to that and it's like, oh, know what I'm talking about. It's like, bro, you can ask anybody to play football. That's what the fuck they're gonna say. Take what I'm saying right now, play it for them, and then see if they say I'm wrong.
I mean, so he had 3 shoulder surgeries before he graduated.
No, he had 3 for real. That's legitimate. He had 3 shoulder surgeries before he even left because Chris used to fucking, so, you know, Florida motherfuckers just like, yeah, Chris knew his strong suits and shit like that, but he also like, you know, he's from Florida, so
He pushed himself. He tried to go past the limits.
He went way harder than where he's supposed to go. You know what I'm saying? As far as his body type and shit like that. So, like, if a motherfucker fake a punt, oh, you can see a bunch of those. Chris used to come downhill hard, man. They fake a punt, ooh, because Chris knew they were gonna kick it deep to him. They're not trying to kick him the ball. You know what I'm saying? So Chris further back than the normal punter, a return specialist should be. So he coming at a 4.3 pace, nobody touching him, and he's going through your shit. So yeah, he's probably gonna dislocate some shoulders, shit. He's gonna fuck something up. You get what I'm saying? Or him getting hit, running at a 4.3, and another motherfucker run. They ain't gotta run a 4.3, but that motherfucker a stone wall. You know what I'm saying? Like, bah, what you think gonna happen? Like, that's inertia, my guy. Like, something's gonna break.
Something is going to go snap, and it's going to hurt.
Who's the weakest one in this situation? That's pretty much what this is going to be. Chris was speed and not as much strength as he should have. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that he should have been like Jamar Taylor size, rest in peace. No, they were thunder and lightning, which was perfect. But I still think, man should have worked out something. That's just me.
Friend to a friend.
That's real because I fucks with him. I fucks with him. Tough.
Yep.
But hey, I wasn't on that team. I wasn't on that ring. You know what I'm saying? So people could take it how they want to take it. But for sure, I would say this to him. You know what I'm saying? To his face, in his face, and mean it with all love. Like, nigga, you should have worked out.
I mean, hey, we all live in life. He's doing well for himself and everything now too. He's got his family and everything. He's living a good life.
Most definitely. Shout out to the Rainies.
Yep. What, bro? You know what? They've been comparing Josh Allen to Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Like, why? His decision making is like Tom Brady, but he's reading the play and the pre-snap and everything like Peyton Manning. I'm like, God. I'm like, here we go. I was like, here we go already.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after they said that, he threw 2 picks.
Yeah.
It's like, we're calling shit a little too early. Just relax. It's not that big of a deal. I know you gotta, say shit and stuff to kind of keep people interested, but making ridiculous comparisons like that.
Yeah, they could literally just be like, Josh Allen is progressing. Like we can see his continuous progression. You see what I'm saying? Like you could say things to give him compliments without sitting here trying to fucking make people think some bullshit. You know
I was gonna say, why is there always a need for a comparison?
To get the viewer to understand. You know what I'm saying?
But I think anybody who really watches football, like those are 2 completely different players.
Yeah, but I don't think they're saying that for those people. I think they're saying it for the casual fans that don't really know what the fuck going on. And it's like, you know who Tom Brady is. You know who Peyton Manning is. You see both of them on TV all the time. You know what I'm saying? So you know who they are. You can Google what the fuck they did. You know what I'm saying? It's like my argument with my friends. The motherfucking casual fan ain't gonna know how to fucking goddamn cover cover 4 or an attack a cover 4. So they're not gonna know what the fuck's going on. Like all they're gonna see is Peyton Manning doing all of this. Omaha. All they gonna see, and they're gonna see Tom Brady throwing the right read. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all they gonna do.
Like this. And those are the ones you see on Twitter. It's like, oh yeah, they just repeat what they say.
That
oh
shit.
yeah, he's legit. He's. We don't need to be comparing, Josh Allen to Tom Brady and Peyton Manning.
Like, come on, you went to the 2 top quarterbacks in history. Come on, bro. I'm with you.
It's way too early to be calling that shit.
Man, so did you see the power rankings for the NFL season before the game?
I saw like 5 different people.
I mean the NFL official.
No, I don't think I saw. I mean, I might have, but
I can tell you the top 4 or top 5 right now. I remember them.
Okay, their top 5. Who is their top 5?
You're gonna like it actually. So Bills 1, Rams 2, Niners 3, Bucks 4, and Bengals 5. Exactly. I said you're gonna like it. And that was.
I mean, I like it, but
you're confused, just like I was confused when I saw that shit. That's why I sent it to the group and I said I watched this shit on Pat McAfee, And the guy was on Pat McAfee explaining the whole situation, and I was like, this shit doesn't sound partisan. This shit sounds very motherfucking goddamn partisan. You see what I'm saying? That shit sounds partisan like a motherfucker. He's like, yeah, I really like the Niners, and we got, but Pat was like, it's so many questions. So many questions with Trey Lance, and so many questions with Jimmy G coming back, so many questions with all of this. And it's like, yeah, I agree with that. Like, how the fuck are the Niners? Like, I can agree that they're top 10. But fucking 3? That shit's crazy.
Third best team in the league? Like,
that's crazy.
What are y'all seeing that I didn't see?
You don't have receivers and you don't have DBs. How in the fuck?
I wouldn't know what to tell you. Like, honestly, I mean, if you're basing it all on potential, I mean, if you look at paper, the potential, yeah, is obviously there.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I don't know, call it a pessimistic outlook or whatever, and I'm just tired of getting heartbroken every fucking time, every goddamn year, to where I'm just not ready to believe that they're, championship material. Even though, like, really, I do believe that they're contenders, like playoff contenders and stuff like that, but, like, they're definitely not bottom of the barrel of the league. But, I mean, Trey Lance needs to prove a lot to me. Just, I mean, again, my own fandom, the way I look at it, I don't think Trey Lance is ready yet. Now, can he go out onto the field and just prove me absolutely wrong and run the fucking table and get us to another NFC Championship game, possible Super Bowl berth? Then I'll shut the fuck up and be like, hey, I was wrong. They made the right decision. But until then, it's like, again, I haven't seen enough to be able to start making claims. Like, I'm seeing people, they're talking about, oh, Trey Lance, he could be the MVP of the league. I'm like, what are we talking about here? What are we looking at to where you would think that he would be in contention of the MVP vote?
Those practice videos, that shit is throwing people off. Those good balls that he's throwing in practice is throwing people off. Like, oh my God, look at these passes Trey Lance throwing. But it's like, the DBs suck though. Like, the DBs is ass. Like, what we doing here, man? Like, they terrible, bro. Like, they was terrible. So I'm gonna say this: the 2 points the guy made, the reason why he said that, he said because the Niners defense was like one of the top teams in the league without getting many turnovers. That's what he was saying. That was one of his points. And he was saying that he believes Kyle Shanahan will be able to figure out Trey in enough time and shit like that, and he believes in him. And that was when he lost me. Because I'm like, the Niners defense interior is fucking good. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give y'all credit. Y'all front 8 is amazing.
I heard that and said,
the shit in the back though. Like, the shit in the back, like those guys running backwards and covering receivers, those are the people I do not trust. Not for you guys. Like, now, Bosa and them boys, Fred Warner and them boys, I can believe that. You see what I'm saying? But when you go offensively, the way George played last year, you made that a big point. George was blocking a lot last year. You made it a point. So I'm like, George is great at the tight end position, but if he's not being used, then you can't really count him in there. You know what I'm saying? If he's blocking. So now you only got Debo.
But that's the thing. With him, though, it's like he's such a good fucking blocking tight end. He seals the edge for those outside zone runs to be effective. And I've said it before, he may not be the best tight end, like Kelsey's the best tight end in the league, but when we're talking about specifically run blocking, George Kittle is no question better than every tight end in the league when it comes to run blocking.
It took you 2 years. It took you 2 years.
No, I've known that. But what I'm saying is,
two different things.
Oh, I can probably go back and look at episodes of where I probably said that before.
We argued about this for so long, bro.
But but his ability to catch and run and everything like that is, top 3 elite in the league too.
I agree.
So, I mean, I don't even know if he's going to play this week. That's something. I think he had a groin injury or something like that. I don't know.
Man,
At practice, I'll have to go back and look at it, but they think he's going to play. But I'm like, God damn.
that's tough. The groin is tough.
Yeah, if it's the groin, that's like
shut him down.
Yeah, you don't really want to risk that, especially week
But no, that's the
one.
only reason why I asked, because that Niners at 3, I want to hear your opinion.
On the what? Oh, muted himself for a quick second.
I just really want to hear your opinion about that number 3 spot. That's really why I brought that up, the power rankings.
I mean,
where do you think they should go though? If they're not 3, if you don't believe they're 3, you personally, because you're a fan, you see what I'm saying? Where do you think you guys are? I believe you're top 10. I'm not gonna say top 5, but you're top 10.
I can agree top 10. If we're talking top 5, maybe like the 5 spot, like on the fringe, the 5 spot. But like I'm probably thinking 6 or 7. Like if we're talking the entire league, maybe 6 or 7. Because there are teams that are in this league that I don't know if we can beat them yet.
Like who?
Like, you want to tell me the Niners are better than the Chiefs right now?
I believe so.
Shit.
I believe so. So here's the thing: their number 1 receiver, Juju Smith-Schuster. You don't believe in him?
But they do have that rookie wide receiver, Sky Moore.
Yeah.
No, he's not as fast as Tyreek is, but he's a good route runner, and he's going to be one of those underrated receivers that he's just going to explode, and nobody's going to see it coming.
So this guy has more than 3 routes.
Yes, I would say so.
Yeah, all right, cool.
For Sky Moore, yeah, I would say so. He's a much cleaner route runner, I think.
I'm glad you brought up Tyreek. I'm gonna ask this question, but we can go back to the Chiefs and all that. But did you see that fucking route that Tyreek ran when I put that shit in the group? I think it was Instagram, when it was like the guy was saying about how Tyreek was super fast.
Oh yeah, it was go route. He just ran right by him.
And what did I say? That is all he had. That's all he had. He didn't even
go route, post route.
He didn't even try to run a route. He just said, "All right, fuck it."
Yeah, there was no like move, or there was no
even off the line. It's damn near like he just took a step inside and went. You know what I'm saying? Like he did his shoulders and he just stepped inside and fucking went. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, bro. This is what we're calling the best in the league.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, but 3. That's tough, man. That's really tough. I mean, I would really have to kind of look at it to really try to understand, because there's so much shit unproven.
Yeah.
To already say, oh, the number 3 team in the league, it's like, hold on, we have a quarterback who hasn't even started a full season for us. He only started 2 games and then he got hurt. It's just like we have not seen anywhere near enough to be able to start making those claims. So, like, I'm trying to, okay, yeah, we got Debo back. Okay, Ayuk is he's poised to have a breakout season. He was one of the best players in camp this off season. All right, let's see it translate to the field. Now, the first 5 weeks they're just fucking dominating people. Then I'll be like, all right, maybe these guys are legit. But until then, it's just, man. I mean, I would love to be optimistic. I really would. But every time that I've gotten optimistic about this team, something happens. And it just, so I'm like, you know what? Let me try my luck in a different route this year. Let me try my luck in the art of pessimism.
Welcome. It's a party over here. We got all these party favors, all these hors d'oeuvres right here on the table. You know what I'm saying? Help yourself because you're a grown man. So yeah, welcome to the pessimistic side of the country. You know. Yeah.
Oh shit, Allen, Chuck, and Dave. He's got Davis wide the fuck open. Down at 5. Damn. Gabe Davis showing out this game.
Yeah. His problem is injury. He was actually pretty good.
He hasn't been anywhere near like touched enough and anything like that to even come close to injury.
I mean, throw some bitch to Dawson Knox, man. Fuck the bullshit. Throw it to Dawson.
So y'all just signed him to a big ass fucking deal. Give him the ball.
Bro, 1 for 5 ain't shit. That's come on, bro.
Dude, Josh Allen is gonna get himself fucking killed in the first week of the season. Oh, nah, he's smiling. He likes that shit. Never mind. This dude's something different.
Week 11, he gonna do that same run shit. He gonna get fucked up. That's when he play us. I think it's week 11. Yeah, he gonna do that run shit. Gonna get fucked up. We ain't going for that this year. We got a few other hungry motherfuckers on our team. Nah, we ain't going. We ain't going for that shit. We got motherfuckers. We got everybody on our team got 10 fingers this year. So we ain't going.
Here we go.
We ain't going
Ladies
for that.
And gentlemen, it is at 7:30. You guys already know this episode brought to you by Raise Energy, the best energy drink on the entire planet. Repsports.com, RUPPsports.com, and use the promo code AlphaRaise for 15% off of your order. The back-to-back Clash of the Cans champions coming out with the champion style drink, dropping in a couple of weeks. So be on the lookout for that. Once again, thank Raise Energy for being with us since day one. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to do it the right way here. And we got to just put it down now and just say, it Ladies and gentlemen of the Jaffo Army, please welcome the co-founder of the UFC and a board member for the A7FL. Ladies and gentlemen of the Jaffo Army, please welcome the one and only Dave Issacs. What's up, David? How we doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, we're doing great, man. Just excited to talk some UFC. How you got in the A7FL? Really been kind of waiting for this conversation a little bit because I'm really one to love listening to stories about times of, especially when we're talking about UFC, the early days of that. I love listening to how everything got started. But first and foremost, appreciate you for giving us some time out of your, I'm sure, busy schedule to be able to talk with us a little bit. We got to jump into it. The UFC real quick before we start into the story. What happened at the press conference today?
I mean, you get a bunch of guys together, you build a storyline around stuff. You got teams around them. There's always a lot of testosterone, a lot of emotion, and a lot of posturing. So it happens. That's just the way it is. It happens. I'm not there and I didn't watch it, but I've seen lots of this stuff go on. Some of it's a little make believe, but a lot of it's quite real because the guys are ready to go. It's just the way it is. You put them together. The atmosphere is exciting. You're trying to get them. You're trying to get guys juiced up. When I say juiced, not in the bad way, but I mean excited. It's the nature of the beast.
And then from the very beginning, what was the idea? Where did it all come from? Because obviously, when the UFC first came out, it was something that I mean, people thought, oh, this is barbaric. This is crazy. What kind of fighting is this? Like, far from your typical boxing and everything else like that. So, where did you guys come up with the idea to come up with the concept of the UFC?
Well, I mean, if you talk to 6 different people about the beginning of the UFC, you'll probably get 6 different versions. That's the nature of success. But I would say my version is, our company was in the pay-per-view business, and we were looking to expand out of the concerts that we were doing. And we did a lot of other we were part of BMG, which was a big music distributor at the time. And we were looking for other stuff. We tried lots of things: comedy, kids, other sports, motorsports. And then, the Gracies, Art Davie came in pitching Horion Gracie and War of the Worlds. And we took that concept and ran with it. We were kind of the right pay-per-view company for that kind of experimentation. We were trying to find new stuff. At the time, our big competitors were HBO and Showtime, and they were not trying to find new stuff. They were very happy with boxing. Wrestling was also big, and figuring out new stuff on pay-per-view was difficult. Hadn't been done consistently before, and that was what we were trying to do. So it wasn't a chance; it was the right time, the right folks getting together, and coming up with lots of bits that are part of the UFC today. It's funny, I was talking to somebody about it, and I don't know, we're working on some startup thing, and I was saying, the amazing thing is, the Octagon, the name, that was all UFC, the first UFC, right? Like we developed that thing that everybody, talks about, uses, copies, uses a version of for the first UFC. And it's kind of amazing that it, has withstood the test of time and been such a fixture. The name, we had a lot of internal debate. There's a guy there, Michael Abramson, who is our head of marketing and promotion, and Michael just kept saying, "It's the ultimate. There's nothing beyond it. It's the ultimate." And eventually we gave into him. But there were a lot of names thrown around. There were a lot of designs for the Octagon thrown around. Not thrown around makes it sound like it was casual, but it was, we were in the business of producing television events. And so designing the sets and creating the name and things like that were part of what we did normally. This time we just were doing it in the context of this unidentified sport of MMA that nobody really knew what it was. Except for maybe Horion Gracie and the rest of the Gracie family and a few other folks around the world. But really, it was still an unknown commodity at the time. So it was exciting, to be part of that. But it was unknown. Like there was no, we're going to do a minimum viable product and drip, and go get venture. That's not how the world was back then for these kinds of things. It was us giving it a shot. Making mistakes, tons of mistakes, but doing lots of stuff. So that's what I like, personally about working on it, was the chance to do lots of things and really impact, the product and, the whether people liked it or didn't like it, change the rules. I mean, we were flying by the seat of our pants. And at one point, I think we were doing buy rates in excess of WW, it was then called WWE. Sorry, that's my dog. She heard WWE, she started barking. But we had I think we had 12 people working there. And WWE had 300 people. And the tower. And, that tells you, like, we were, like, if you were working there, you were doing so many different things that, I love that stuff. It stuck with me to this day. But when you're doing that much and you're figuring it out, not everything works the way you want it to. And some things work much better than we ever imagined. And I think we always thought, I hear this sometimes from people, that it was like we tossed it up there and didn't think it would be a series. We actually designed it that way. We did a lot of stuff to make it that way. We had a long-term deal with the Gracies. We had done a thing called Thursday Night Concerts previously, which had regularly scheduled programming on pay-per-view. So that was really part of our thought process. we just didn't know if it would work.
Mm.
You know, that was the thing.
What came or who or what was the idea that all right, because there's obviously different styles. There's different techniques that people use. Like where did it really come up with the idea of we need to have essentially an arena, the octagon, where we have all these different styles just colliding to see, who the best is. Like, where did that idea come from?
That is a particularly emotional one for a lot of people who say they were thinking about it, prior. I will say for me, we had a tape of Gracie's in action. It was Horion's brother on a beach. It was like an VHS tape of like 10th generation or 20th generation, all wobbly and crackly. And Horion is narrating it, and he's talking about the guy on the beach has insulted the Gracie family. That's a horrible impersonation of Horion, but forgive me, Horion. And these brothers, they picked the smallest brother. The guy's gigantic. I mean, I'm sure this fight's out there somewhere. He's like a bodybuilder, and he picks like his smallest brother, and his brother just beats the crap out of the guy. And it was so compelling that the office filled with people watching it. And, there were a number of us, Campbell McLaren was our head of programming, and Campbell always liked crazy shit. Can I say shit on this podcast? I'm
Absolutely.
sorry.
You say whatever you want.
All right. Campbell always liked that. And Bob Meyerowitz, who was the head of SEG at the time, Bob was interested in figuring out new ways to program pay-per-view. And he knew people who were in the Taekwondo side of things who were thinking about maybe this kind of thing. Like, was Taekwondo was like the most popular martial art, but like, could it actually work in a fight? And so I think it just came together at that time where it was like we were the programming folks, and Horion was really our fight guy, and Art was kind of his Barker channel. That's how I would describe Art Davey. And I think that all just came at the right time. We were a small company looking for stuff, and we turned that into a television production. I mean, that was and that's why it turned into a one-night tournament. Like originally they were doing, well, now people, you would understand it's Grand Prix style. They were doing fights over many months. I don't know how that would have worked. I don't think it certainly wasn't as compelling as those tournaments. Those one-night tournaments were very difficult to do. The guys didn't end up they preferred not to fight multiple times on the same night, and they wanted to know who their opponents were. But I think at the time, what we were marketing ourselves as was, the real, reality and fighting. And we wanted to show guys, we didn't have a lot of shows. We didn't have a reality show on TV. We didn't have 2 pay-per-views a month. So this was it. But once you saw a guy fight 3 times and come out of that, you really saw them build their fan base. And I remember I walked into, we did a show in Buffalo, and there were 10,000 people in the arena, and Tank Abbott came in with me, and Art was there with me too, actually. And Abbott had this, fought, and his style and his charisma. But it's like, these multiple levels of fighting in a single night. You saw just how tough those guys were to win. And he didn't actually win his first event. And Abbott walked in, and the arena just popped. You saw like those people were responding to him. And it was actually quite unbelievable. Because I was still worried, he was going to leave me in a trunk of a car someplace. And but the fans loved him, and he was a charismatic guy. And he was a great version of that kind of fighter. And so we spent a lot of time looking for different versions of fighters in those days. And, it's a very different sport today in a lot of ways. It started off with folks who knew one style of fighting. Maybe I would say Hoist Gracie was different than that. I would also say Kenny Shamrock was a little bit different than that. But most guys came with one style. And that's how we started. And we wanted them to have one style because we were trying to answer that question of who would win, judo versus kickboxing. And it evolved over time, but initially that, that question, we realized, like, again, we were a small company. We weren't doing mounds of research, but we did realize that, a lot of people were involved in martial arts, and they all kind of thought their martial art was the best martial art.
It's almost like you see in the movies.
Yeah, it was like that. They're fighting in their own dojo and they're getting their own belts. Didn't mean much because it did, like, were you really trying to fight or not? And you don't have to be trying to fight. I mean, that's not everybody's goal. But I think we changed that. We changed that. So if you want to really learn to fight and you see real fights, you need this mix of skills, and you better be able to grapple. You better be able to at some level, and you better be able to finish fights. And you can finish them with chokes. You can finish them with joint locks. You can finish them with strikes. But if you can't finish a fight, it's going to be a long night. And so we learned that over time, and the fighters learned a lot over time as well. That you could train for this type of combat differently than they trained before. And I remember I had done a deal in Spain. I think it was in Spain. I was at this conference, and I was doing a deal for video distribution with somebody, and he was running, I think, like one of their martial arts magazines, and he described it as the world pre-UFC and post-UFC. And I always liked that description of it, because I do think there was kind of this sea change in the way people saw martial arts and saw fighting. And they wondered about this for a long time. Once you started asking, it was like, which is best? And then you'd start to think, and who is the best fighter in the world? And at that time, Mike Tyson, I mean, he's back now, but at that time, Mike Tyson was like the biggest hit on pay-per-view, pun intended, and he was seen as the toughest guy on the planet. And then we saw the UFC, and, you started to wonder to yourself, what would happen if that guy fought in this type of event? What would happen? And I think that's what really piqued people's interest about this, which was, the things they had thought previously, they weren't sure were true anymore. And you kind of had this new idea of who the best fighter in the planet was. And that changed over time as well. But I think, for me, at least, that was always the draw. There were all kinds of storylines and all kinds of characters, but it was really who is the best and what's the best fighting system. And when Royce Gracie was winning the events early on, everyone was, that Gracie jiu-jitsu, you got to be in, that's the style. And then you saw these American wrestlers go, not so fast. And, it just, it changed, over time. We saw this kind of metamorphosis of folks coming in, seeing what worked, seeing what didn't work, what styles, what type of fighter could do it. And, we were always surprised. Not always. We were often surprised by the outcome. There were some folks I just thought, when Mark Coleman was our heavyweight champion, I literally had never seen anyone like Mark. And when Mark lost to Maurice Smith, it was such an upset for us. And then afterwards, you're thinking to yourself, well, I guess I understand. He punches hard because he's a big, strong guy. But that's a world champion kickboxer, and he's used to getting hit, and he knows how to take it. And, Mark tired himself out. And so anyway, that was the cycle we kept seeing. So it was always a process. I would say a learning process, but I think it was more like a holy shit surprise process that we got over and over again back in those early days.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm like, Royce Gracie, that was one guy that, when it came to, because I grew up, watching boxing essentially my entire life. So getting into the MMA, my first real introduction to it was Royce Gracie. And looking at him going, I mean, I don't know who everybody else has down as their greatest of all time, but when I look at how long he was so dominant for, up until the fight with Matt Hughes, it's kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of hard to make that argument. So, but for me, I really do wonder, what was it like dealing with somebody like Royce Gracie? Like, what was did he have some sort of aura about him, that, because he seems like he was one of those guys that just comes in and
the opposite. Royce was like an unassuming guy, and he was he was the younger, smaller brother. And I think, That's why Horion picked him. I think he wanted to pick a guy who was unassuming. At the time, Hoist was about my size, actually. And I mean, I certainly wasn't going to get in there and take on Dan Severn or any of the, I just was inconceivable to me. And I think for everyone, it made you really, I think it changed your thought process about, what was possible, who could win, what the styles were, and what a real fight is. I mean, honestly, I think I was just talking about this with somebody, we talk about tradition. Tradition is very powerful. And so I grew up with boxing. And at that time, everyone had seen boxing and they'd seen wrestling and they hadn't seen this. And so I think once they saw it or saw it over time a little bit, it really changed the concept of what is a real fight. And then you sort of go, boxing is incredibly difficult. When you meet the boxing guys that are so skilled, it is remarkably difficult to be that good a boxer. And it's just very, very hard. But you realize it's a particular skill set. It is not the same as a real fight. And we used to do events all over the place, but a lot of them in the South at that point when we weren't sanctioned in a lot of states. And, they would have like a full bar, for the whole event. And, fights would break out in the stands. And the audience would shift its attention from what was going on in the octagon to the fight in the stands. And I think that's really because everybody's like searching for that real fight. Like, what is that fight like? And I used to talk about that with, people. And I'd say, we try to keep it as real as possible. Like that was what we were really trying to do. And everyone was arguing about Horion was trying to do things to favor Gracie Jiu-Jitsu or other people. Everybody was, but the reality is anything you do favors some styles over other styles. How much we padded the octagon, the mat made a big difference. A big difference. If you were a grappler, you cared a lot about how much we padded it. If we padded it too much and you were a striker and you're trying to move, it was tough. So every decision we made kind of influenced how different styles would fight. The cage itself, all of that stuff. And so you realize like these are constructs, like people would say to me, like, who do you think is the best fighter? And I'd say where and in what circumstance? I mean, if I was in a bar, for many years, I would have said Tank Abbott I would pick him over anybody. When you're out of the bar, it's different. There are a lot, like Dan Severn is a good example. I bet you Dan was never in a bar fight in his life. I think Dan is the only guy like that I could name out of all the fighters I knew, maybe a couple of others, but really he's such a nice guy. And I'd say like, but in the octagon, in competition, that changed for him. And that was a good venue for him. And so I think, we tried to keep it as real as possible. And I think that's what people craved. That period was like a big change in culture. People were changing types of music they were listening to. They were craving hyper reality. That was the stuff that was and we I don't know if it was totally intentional, but it was certainly fortuitous that we did the UFC at that time because that was what people were looking for. They weren't looking for disco dance in spacesuits. They were looking for what's the real deal. And I think that was always the allure then. I think it's the allure now. I think that's why those backstage fights. I was looking at the online today and I was like, I would like to see some footage backstage and see what that looked like.
Yeah,
and I've been involved in them. They're not that fun to be in or around, but I'm telling you, everybody's thinking, I would like to see that. I would like to see that.
Because it really is one of those out of a non-sanctioned fight. Like how is things really look?
It's a real fight, and that's always what you're trying, right? You think to yourself, that's a real fight, and what happens in a real fight? And I think that's always the fun of mixed martial arts, and particularly UFC, is getting as close to that as possible. And now the guys are so trained in mixed martial arts. I think you're just looking at it. This is now a high. There were a lot of high level athletes early. People just didn't necessarily realize that, or media didn't accept it. I think now when you see it and so many people understand it, They understand what skill is going into the things that people are doing, that, you know, it really raises it to this thing of, you know, like when people used to call boxing the sweet science, they still do. I say it is hard. I mean, the respect I have for like being a great boxer is tremendous. It is so hard. I think early on, people didn't quite see that about mixed martial arts. You had to be good at something and strong, and then you could fight. I think now when you see the top mixed martial artists, and for the last few years, you realize you're looking at an extraordinary athlete who is very finely tuned, you know, like in lots of different things. And I think that's a outstanding aspect of it now. And it is part of like where there's just the evolution of the sport. And, you know, there's a lot of things going on in the world of mixed martial arts and fighting these days that people never expected would happen. And, you know, I think back in the day, we had a period of crazy fast change. We had a lot of legal problems. People were trying to put us out of business. We were trying to bring in different kinds of do it in different states. You know, it was very rocky. And I think they had this period of like kind of UFC dominating and Dana doing such a great job running it. And now I think the world is shaken up again. And I think, you know, that's the nature of this kind of sport. There's just so many things going on. And I think it's just the nature of it. And people like that. You know, they aren't going to sit and do the same thing. You know, we did this on pay-per-view. It was, 29, is it 29 years ago? Yeah, 29 years ago, 1993. So that's a long time. You know, that's a long time ago. And it's not long in the context of sports and how long it takes to develop sports, but it's long in the context of how people's viewing habits have changed over that period and what kind of content they like and what kind of stars they see as legitimate and how they watch that kind of content. So lots of changes there. Oh, sorry,
what kind of things went into, because like you said, there was an evolution of the sport. You know, it went from being almost there's no weight classes, it's just different styles and stuff like that, to now we have weight classes. Now, like what sort of things kind of put things into place for it to kind of turn out the way it did?
Well, originally, if you think about a real fight, I mean, you don't really get to choose the weight class of the guy you're going to fight. And you may not know that fight's coming. So we were in that mindset of, and, you know, the Gracies, Horion, you know, they weren't concerned about size at all. And so we were really, and we didn't have, you know, and we were, I don't want to say anti-boxing, but I certainly think we were thinking about boxing and the things that we didn't like. So boxing judges were definitely on our mind as something that, you know, were notoriously difficult to understand sometimes how, you know, how that judging worked. It was very opaque. And we just were like, how do we do it without any of that? So no weight classes, no time limits, no judges. And that was the idea. So that's the concept of like, why did we do it? Because we thought those were things that were constructs and we were trying to figure out how to deconstruct it and turn this into a real fight. Over time, we saw why you needed those things, right? I mean, that's really what happened. And so when we started out, I think we benefited sometimes from that. You know, we did the David versus Goliath tournament. Don Fry won that in Puerto Rico. So the Davids had to be under 200 pounds and the Goliaths had to be over 300 pounds. You know, you say that now and people think that is barbaric. We thought, I think Campbell came up with that idea. Probably. It sounds like him. We thought it was just awesome. Like, you know, like that's awesome. And it was awesome. And it was a surprise win. You know, for people who didn't know Don Fry yet. And so I think that for us was kind of part of the fun, was just thinking of these things and then seeing if we could do them. And I think over time, we learned so much about, like we learned, you know, we had to have time limits, right? We had to fight, you know, we had fights go over. The limits that we had on cable was brutal. It's terrible. It's terrible. Yeah. Terrible. And we had, you know, we started to get into things with commissions and what did they expect to see? And what did we want to keep in and keep. What would we fight for? I remember fighting for headbutts. It was funny. I'm not a headbutting guy. Let me just say that. But I knew that some of our guys, that was the main weapon that they used. Mark Coleman in particular at that time. And so, and again, in a real fight, I mean, that's a real thing. And so now you look back and you go, I mean, there haven't been headbutts since we developed the unified rules quite a lot, but even before that, actually. And it seems kind of crazy that there were headbutts, but that was a part of just in a real fight. That was what you were going to do. We had rules from the beginning, but we promoted that we had very few rules, but we always had some rules. And we just, over time, I think we just needed to get more in line with where the commissions were and so people started to see this as more, less barbaric, although I don't think we were barbaric, although we sometimes promoted ourselves that way, but more in line with what they expected and what they had seen before. Adding gloves, even though they're lighter gloves, adding gloves, all that stuff is what people are used to. And so they think that's sport, and commissions wanted it. And sometimes it was safer, and sometimes it was just because that's what people wanted to see. Sometimes, like when we added judges, it was because the fights were ending and we didn't have a winner. I mean, it was kind of a shitty way to go. We realized that so if you have no time limits and no judges, you fight to the end. You can do that. You can do that in the street. You can do that in a gym, but you can't do that on television. Certainly you couldn't then. And, at a point that became reality for us. We were trying to figure out, and we were learning on the fly, and changing the rules from one event to the next. So all that stuff, was like thought of, a lot of people, John McCarthy, Jeff Blatnick, Joe Silva, we were thinking about those rules, and Corian. And once we had too many rules, and once we changed the weight class, and we changed stuff too much, that's when Hoist dropped out. Right? It wasn't that long into it. It was after 3 events. I mean, and lots of reasons. Horian would say, that's not the way we want to do it. That's not doesn't work for our style if there are time limits. Other people would say the wrestlers were catching up to them. They knew it, and that was a good time to exit. I would never say that. I don't think Horian was ever concerned about other fighters. I've known Horian for 30 years. I don't think he's concerned about other fighters, but I do think in his mind, he's a purist for what he thinks is the Gracie system and what he's trying to show. And if it doesn't show his system, the advantages that they have, if you can't cook the opponent, as they call it, it's not going to work as well. And I think he knew that very well.
So then what was it like kind of trying to deal with it? I mean, obviously when you're changing rules, not everybody is going to, agree with what gets done, but certain things have to get done. What was it like in those rooms trying to figure out what the future was for the UFC?
Well, it was, we thought every decision we were making was like the most important decision. And we were always worried about watering down what people liked about the sport. So that's what headbutts is a good example. I understand commissions didn't want it. I know it's rough. I mean, I get it. In a real fight, that's a tactic people would use, and some more effectively than others. But at a point, like with the commissions, as we were working with them, various folks in New Jersey, in Mississippi, and finally even in Las Vegas, in Nevada, we had to take them out. Like it was like, you'll never get sanctioned if you have headbutts. So at a point, we didn't have any choice, because if we weren't sanctioned, if we couldn't figure out a path to sanctioning, we were going to go out of business.
So it forces you to do things, but I mean, it's just the concept of the real fight. It is more. I mean, now when you look at it, it does kind of have almost a boxing feel to it, as everyone has a technique. Everyone's pretty much studying everything because you have to be able to kind of defend everything. You know, yeah, you have your own specialties in striking and stuff, but you have to be able to defend jujitsu, judo, wrestling, you know, take that. You have to be able to do all of that stuff in order to be successful in the UFC. So when you finally get to weight classes, and from there basically all the rule changes basically come from the Saints having to wear the gloves, having to the time limits, rounds, all that was basically everything was to get sanctioned.
No,
Oh,
no. It was a mixture. I mean, we were dealing with lots of stuff simultaneously. So we would learn things about the fights. I don't remember which fight it was that somebody started holding the cage for the first time and trapped their opponent in there. I feel like it was Dan Severn, but I don't think, maybe not. We didn't have a rule against it. And a big wrestler holding you down, holding on to that bar, the fence, you can't get up. I mean, that's not the point of our fights, you know? So I get it. Like in a real fight and you were against a fence and somebody, you know, that might be out. But we saw it and we changed the rule because we didn't want that. And I don't think anybody wanted it. Other things were, on those same lines. We saw something and we decided it needed to go one direction or another. Some were based on what the commissions wanted. Some were based on TV. The timing thing was really about TV. Like, how do we get the fights in? So if you bought your pay-per-view, you see all the fights. And so we, like I said, gradually we had to adopt some of these things. And then once you have a time limit, then you need judges, right? So it starts to have that, like, now, okay, now you see why, some of the rules in boxing like that make sense. And then you remember back in the old days, they'd have those, I don't know, 800 round fights or something like that. And they just keep going. I mean,
yeah,
do you really want that fight? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think now it's been honed to really get the best performance out of the guys and girls. Yeah, you got to be, fight for 25 minutes and I mean, 25 minutes of fighting is exhausting. I mean, that is an incredible amount of effort. And so you sort of get to the point where you think like that's the right amount. So you got to have the cardio to do the fight. You can't just go out there and gas, but you get the best performance from the fighters. And I think that's just over time, you start to see how much they can really do. The rounds are a little longer. Again, that was part of the idea of, some of the things with grappling or if you're using any kind of a choke or a joint manipulation, anything on the ground, it takes a little while for those things to get set up. So, we thought it made sense to have those rounds be longer. And, we would think about, again, this isn't like, you got to work on Monday and, scratched out the rule that was there and wrote some other rule. There were a lot of people involved in those conversations. So I think the myth of some of the decision-making was, we just got there and crap that stuff out. It wasn't like that. It was actually like a lot of debating over whether this change or that change made sense. Some were obvious and some were forced upon us, and some were things that over time we just decided to adopt and then figure out how to do it for the style of fighting that the UFC had at the time.
So then I have to ask it. I guess I don't know if you don't want to sound biased or anything like that, but throughout the time, who was your favorite fighter to watch? Whether, I mean, didn't have to be like the greatest of all time, but who was one fighter that you can look at and go, I can just watch this guy all day?
Oh, let's see the names I would use. I don't know. So I always liked Tank. I thought Tank was like a charismatic guy, like the worst, scariest biker you've ever imagined. And I wish at the time, he was so strong that he thought that strength, and he was skilled. He actually, people don't realize that, but he'd wrestled, he'd boxed for a long time. But I loved Abbott fighting. I didn't like the later fights, but I loved him like when he was really, threatening to folks in there. And I love the heavyweights. I always thought, so that was one for sure. On the skill level side, Mark Coleman for me early was, I've never seen a man more powerful than Mark at about 265. I mean, he was never seen that kind of power. Randleman, another guy who we didn't have him in the UFC at the early times, but when I saw him later fighting and when he came back to the UFC, just physically, his skill level was so high. Like he was just from another planet. Hoist was just another. He was a guy. You had to respect the skill level, and again, like kind of a physically unassuming guy, willing to go in against these. I will call them monsters in that regard, like beasts, really big, strong guys who you don't want to tangle with. Ken Shamrock was always really interesting. Some of his fights didn't go the way we had hoped they would go. And I knew from his training partners and the things he had done at the Lion's Den, what skill level he brought and sort of how strong he was and how that didn't always show up in the octagon, but I think it was always like we were ready to see it. Frank Shamrock at the time was another guy. By the time he really came out, he was kind of the next generation of fighter where he was really training in multiple disciplines, and his cardio, I never had seen anybody with cardio like that. He was just a very skilled guy. So anyway, yeah, that's the long list, I guess. But at that point in time, that's kind of, I liked all the, and I liked the mix. We were into the show and trying to get different styles fighting against each other and see which one would win. When we brought a ninja in and all kinds of different things, people hadn't seen that before. People hadn't seen a sumo wrestler fight a normal size guy, and they had no idea what we didn't know. So I like that element of it as much as anything, just kind of the discovering, like, we really didn't know what that, for a lot of that, what was going to happen. And we all learned kind of together what that meant. And, that was really the fun of the early stuff. It's different now. Again, it's not as much of a mystery. There aren't some guys that are fighting in Japan and you haven't seen them before, and then we bring them in and they're all of a sudden they're top level guys. It really is much more, and they're all cross training, and they've been cross training. The guys who are fighting now were born, for the most part, or certainly started training, after we started the UFC. So they saw what real fights were like, and they adapted their styles. And so I think now it's much more about that. What happens when a cross-trained fighter like this goes up against a cross-trained fighter like that, which is also awesome. I mean, the skill level is unbelievable, but it's different than like, what the hell is a ninja? And what is that going to, and what is their secret moves going to do in the octagon, And the answer was not so much.
That became very obvious. I remember some of the early stuff going like, I sure, but wow. There's definitely some experimenting that went on. But again, in the long run, everything, it is what it is now. It grew and it became this, giant entity in the fight game now that kind of gave viewers another outlook than just boxing, because I really do believe for a long period of time, even sometimes now, there's still hints of it. Boxing had a very, very sketchy past about them with certain things. So to be able to have another outlet to go to was kind of cool to see. And speaking of going from one outlet to another, you go from being a co-founder to the UFC. Now you are partnered up with the A7FL.
Yep.
How did that where did that decision of I want to be able to partner up with these guys somehow, some way, where did you get introduced to them? How did that kind of come into play?
Well, first of all, because of my UFC past, I get introduced to all kinds of crazy event things. So, I've done like Walking Dead live events, and I've done giant robot fights in Japan. So it's not so weird that I got introduced to the A7FL. And truthfully, I thought it had a lot of relevant. The UFC had a lot of relevance to what the A7FL was doing, which meant like taking away the safety equipment in the UFC. I used to do a lot of interviews for how I thought the UFC was safer than boxing, and had a bunch of reasons for that. And I would say, and I certainly would say now, that doesn't mean it's safe. I think it's safer. And I think when you talk about football, NFL style, NCAA style football, helmets and pads, like I played many, 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 many years ago in high school. When you wear helmets and shoulder pads, you are really willing to use your head as a weapon. And so when I saw what the A7FL was doing, I saw this as a really important twist on what football could be. Because when I was a kid, that's actually how we played. We played no helmets, no pads football in somebody's backyard. We didn't kick because nobody could kick. And it's not like I'm saying it's 100% safe because it's a full contact sport, but it's a lot safer because there's a head-to-head contact is minimized. If you play without a helmet, you do not lead with your head. And we changed the rules to emphasize that. But the other thing is, we changed the nature of the relationship with the fans to the athletes, because you see these guys, like you see them up close and you see what they're like. And I think that is a big advantage in this world of social media, is that, you really see these players and you realize, they're so like, when we started the UFC, I think nobody knew that there was this whole world of fighters out there that were learning different skills, but weren't boxing. They were not, maybe some were boxers, but they weren't in the upper echelon of boxers, and they were just out there. I think we have shown people that, just like Rucker did for basketball, there is a whole world of guys who didn't make it to the NFL, didn't make it on that path, but have great skills. And when you give them the right kind of game, it showcases those skills, and it's a really exciting form of football. And I think it's, we've proven it over and over again with the numbers we put up when we're on television and on VOD and on fast channels and on cable channels and online. But it really is an exciting sport. And I think it has this UFC thing of like, because you take away the safety equipment, it looks rougher than what you're used to. And then when you watch it, you appreciate it for what it is. And so that's what I love about American Sevens football. There are so many players out there that still want to play, that they just didn't get their chance. And then you see them and you go, holy crap, why isn't that guy playing Division I college football? Or why isn't that guy playing the NFL? And there are lots of reasons for that. There are a lot of guys that fall through the cracks. There are a lot of guys that have to go out and work to support their family very early. There's a lot of guys that just, that whole system was not for them. And we find them and they find us. And that is what the league is really about, is a place for those players to really showcase their skills. And I think that's why it was attractive to me. I just was looking at it and I said, they've really boiled the essence of this league down to really exciting parts of it. It's fast, but not too fast. It's not arena. You don't get 130 to 116 as the score. It rains. It's outdoors. It's raining. It rains a lot, by the way, in some of our games. So you got to have a running game. You got big guys. You got fast guys. It has all the things I think that people love about football. But at first glance, it's different. For a lot of people, they're like, what the heck is this? And then when they watch it, they go, oh, they start. It's not hard to understand how sevens work compared to 11-man football. And anyway, so that's what I liked about it. I thought it was super compelling. Back to that thing of watching the Gracie in action video, I saw the first video, and I was like, holy crap. And I showed this to some people I knew in the sports business, and they were like, I was showing some like a highlight video of them, and they were like, well, the guys aren't that big, are they? And I'm showing them some 300-pounders like doing backflips and running the ball, and they're like, but they're not that fast. And I show them guys, flying down the field. I mean, really, you could see the skill level. Well, the quarterbacks probably can't throw the ball as far as, we show a guy throwing the ball 80 yards in the air. 80 yards.
You didn't show him Corey Hammond footage then.
Not necessarily, no.
You're talking about 80-yard bombs. That was definitely not
and
Corey Hammond.
again, when you start to talk about street ball, No, yeah, Corey. By the way, Corey's got Corey's an old stand-up quarterback. Corey's a good man, and he's sort of that classic style quarterback in the pocket. But we've got all kinds, and I think that's part of the fun too. You put a team together here with a mixture of the talent that you can find that'll play on the team, and so if you've got a quarterback like Corey, you're looking to find speed players on the outside edges that can catch the ball from him. You're looking to protect him. And if you got a running quarterback, you may be doing something very different. So I think our game has a lot of flexibility based on the talent and the skills of the players that you have. And, Corey is a great guy. And, he's a really knowledgeable football guy. And I think when people listen to the broadcasts and hear him and hear Big Rob and Matt Ryan crazy with his voice and everything, but you hear this guy knows football inside and out. This isn't like casual, some guy that shows up for touch football. This is a guy that really understands how football works. And I remember I was at a fight in Japan, and I think I was either sitting with Ken Shamrock or I was right near Ken, and he was just talking the whole fight. And I was kind of amazed at just how much he, the knowledge that was coming out of his mouth while he was talking. In Japan, the arena's silent, so you can hear every word he's saying. And, Corey has the same thing for me. If you think Corey is just some guy who was like a pretty good quarterback in high school and shows listen to him talk about football, and you'll see that's a guy who really has been, knows a lot about the game. He understands different players, and he's not been in this big system, like a lot of the, he's not getting massaged after the game and dipped in. He's roughing it, and I love that part of our league. It's a skill. He's got a set of skills. There are other guys that have other sets of skills, and it comes together, and each team figures out how to make that work, right? How to make it work.
Yeah, we definitely looked at it, and I had the same reaction. I'm sure, many people, like you said, holy shit, what the full contact, no pad, how are these guys? And then you watch the game, and we just got into it, kept watching it over. And Kay was, becoming a big fan of it. So we just kept watching it. We're just like, this is actually some legit football that we had talked about on a little while on the show, was ways to get football into the Olympics.
Yeah.
At first, we were thinking maybe flag football because 11 on 11 it's expensive. It's a lot, and not a lot of other countries are playing football this style. You got the Canadian, football league. You got European football when they had that. The NFL sponsored the European league.
They still got
you have that, but not as talked about as it was before. But we're looking at. When you look at the A7FL, it brings the concept of the sevens, and we think, or at least I think about rugby, being a universally loved sport, full contact, everything else like that, needs the toughness, needs the skill and everything in order to be good at it. I see that with the A7FL. It's a sevens concept that everybody internationally can get behind, and it's American style football with no pads, and it's just something that I think when you're talking about Olympics, bringing it in, football, because you have every other sport except football being the most popular sport in America. You don't see it really outside internationally. I figured you guys really have something going with the A7FL when it comes to bringing the game to the Olympic level. I don't know if that has been a thought process for you guys of getting that far, but I'm talking about seeing the future, but I can definitely see this being a thing at the Olympic level.
Yeah, we are ambitious, right? We think this sport can be international. We think kids can play this. Kids are going to be much more likely to play this than they are, and the drop off and tackle football is really severe for a lot of kids. And we have this advisor who works with us who is a great friend of mine named Dr. Jen Welter, who was the first female coach in the NFL. And Dr. Jen, as we call her, has done a lot of stuff outside the country with rugby, Australian rule, all this kind of stuff. And she talks a lot about tackle culture and how in the rest of the world, it's strange that our toughest sport, the guys have these big pads. And they don't have that. And so you look at that and you say, like, they're used to it. And that's what they think is tough. They don't think it's crazy. They think that's tough. And so I think we do have stuff that's going to lend itself more towards international expansion, which if you're America, I love the NFL and I love watching football. That doesn't mean that it's not without its issues. And I think it doesn't travel as well as you would think the biggest sport in America would. And part of it is, it just is a very American seeming sport. I worked internationally when I was younger, and I lived in New York later. That's when I was working with SEG and we started UFC. But I had all these friends from different countries who would come visit me, and we would go to American sporting events. And so, we would go to basketball, and they were all just like, "This is awesome. I love it. It's just awesome. It is." And we would go to baseball, and if you weren't Japanese, baseball was not interesting at all. They didn't understand it. They were bored by it. Sometimes I, compare that to cricket. Maybe it's just because of the bat and stuff. But, for us, like, cricket seems really boring. But I like baseball, and baseball may need some change. Who knows? We'll see. But then we go football, and I think they would appreciate football as like this big American. It's like going to a July 4th parade or something. Like, you get it. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're thinking to yourself, I want to go to every game and follow this sport. I don't think that's what it was. And I think when you imagine American football, it's just like America is coming in. And I think that's how folks see it. Whereas with basketball, they just see basketball and they know they're great American basketball players and they love that. Again, they don't have helmets and pads. So you see them and you see their expressions and you see their physicality up close. And then you see that teams from other countries can surprise you. They can have this talent level in this sport. And I think we do have an opportunity for that. I think we got a long way to go here. We're expanding. We just added 2 more divisions. So we added Columbus, Ohio. So we have 2 Columbus divisions. We're adding Reno. So we're going to have 2 divisions in Nevada, maybe another division to go before the season starts. So we have 32 teams playing next season. It's a spring league, so it starts in like end of March, early April, and goes till July. So we're doing a lot of stuff here, and kind of teaching people about what this sport is, and teaching players who still have that itch. You probably heard those guys say that, the itch to play. Come find us and come sign up and come do it, because it's right there for you. And I think it amazes me. So last year's championship game, BIC Patterson U. I don't know if you saw that game, but each of those squads, has 2 NFL guys on the team. Both teams, 2 guys. Never saw the field. Now, that doesn't mean the top NFL guys. Not knocking. I'm just saying actual, like, still legit NFL level talent guys, because those teams, you see the level that they are at and like the depth that they are high level teams. And, my dream is to get all the teams into that level and find, we got to, and there are a lot of players out there that we got to bring into the league. And I think we'll start to find places. We already have had contact internationally, and it'll start to grow because I'm waiting for military to start playing it. Military bases, I think, are going to start doing this on their own. Internationally, there's so many reasons why it's a lot easier to play this game. Part of it is they're well aware of, CTE and what's going on with the NFL. And I think it's hard for them to imagine that that's a good idea to get into that sport. Plus, it's so expensive. Plus, it takes so many people. Plus, so there's so many reasons that it's really challenging. So I think we've got that opportunity. But, we've got a long way ahead of us. And we are going to, like I said about the UFC, it's daunting, but it's fun to be thinking about changes at this, when you can really alter the course of something like this. I have friends at many different leagues. If you change a baseball rule by just a tiny bit, everybody screams. If you change if the NFL changes its rules, everybody screams. we change we can change a lot of things to make it work because the guys really, really want to play and the fans we have really want to see them. And so, we have a lot of flexibility. We change the schedule. We do a lot of things just to make it happen. And, that's really the part of early stage sports that I enjoy. And of course, I love it when suddenly it explodes and everybody's talking about it. And, the truck filled with money pulls up to my door. I love that part as well. But I really do like, figuring this stuff out on the fly. And that was what early UFC was. We were figuring out on the fly. We made mistakes. But, especially, I learned from Bob Meyerowitz, especially, which was, it's better to make a mistake than make no decision at all. So onward, push forward, do what you can, try your best. Don't do, try not to make the same mistake twice. That's been a personal thing for me. But like, you're going to make mistakes when you're trying stuff that's just brand new. And, you look around and you see this one got really successful. That one went out of business and you try to navigate that. You just got to keep banging away at it. And, that's what I love about it. It's fun to hear you guys talk about, Corey or whatever part of the game, because it's like that, for example, we were on Stadium this year, Stadium, which is part of Sinclair, and the head of programming there is another fan. And, I've done a lot of deals with people who buy your programming and stuff. And, they may like it, they may like it. But I mean, it was so fun to have somebody who was already a fan of the league and do business with them. It was like it's awesome because once you get it, I think it's compelling and it is hard to take your eyes off of it. And you never know what is going to happen. And I think that's something from early UFC with this stuff. You never really know what's going to happen. You don't know which players are going to show up on a given weekend. You don't know who's been what. They're not training all week, and they're not just we don't know what is going to happen out there on the field. And I think that's an exciting part of sport. And I was going to say one last thing I like about it. So, before there was Manning Cast, we were doing, I think, a much different broadcast. And I think we will continue to do for football. Like I think it should be fun. It should be a fun thing. You should listen to it. And we try to make it fun. We've had different guys in there. LJ Smith was in there for us for years. And LJ's awesome. And I think he's so funny. And we've got this team now. I think they do a great job and they come from different vantage points and, talking about the different elements of it. And, if you don't get excited listening to Matt Ryan call football, it's like watching a Mexican soccer game or something like that. I think he really adds to it. But that's different. Again, that's what you get to do in a league like this. You get to really be different. And I think we're trying to show people like this is fun. This is real. This is not playtime football. This is not, but it's fun. And you should have fun. The guys should have fun. Like it should be entertaining. And I think that's, I think that comes through with the broadcast team. And I really enjoy that part of what we do.
Yeah, watching everything go down and stuff. Like we have been talking with Matt, and we've had Corey on, multiple times.
Corey's they're both great guests, right? Come from very different perspectives, but they're interesting, right?
Corey just being like you said, he's just kind of he is a goofball and everything else like that. He jokes around, he likes to have a good time, but then when you actually listen to him talk ball, the guy's got a mind on him.
Oh,
so very underrated mind, I should say, with some people. But
I don't think. I mean, honestly, I think that's a good example, though, of the type of Corey's also like got. I mean, this isn't the stroke Corey Hammond hour, but I think he's got
he's got enough of an ego.
But he's a great guy, and you can see like how he's a leader. He is. He's like that classic style leader quarterback. That like knows the game and, guys will follow him. And I think he projects that. And, I think his analysis is, if you like watching Tony Romo do the NFL stuff, and you think he's, you watch Corey do ours, it's pretty similar. It's not meant to be the same. It's just, he knows the game. He knows the players. And I think, you mix that up a little bit and it's like this interest, like I said, early UFC, it's like it's like a whole interesting thing. We just put it all out there and then see what comes out the other side. And I think, we've been doing a lot of good work, and we've been showing people what we can do. And, Sports Center's been sharing us regularly. And I think they, put us on air the other day. And I think it's because, if you like football and you see our stuff, you will like it. And we're doing deals around. And it's not just about the deals, but it's about more and more people see us. And then they understand, like, I knew there was this no helmets league. I saw a highlight once, but now they're connecting with the A7FL, or now they're connecting that with Ashante Worthy or Sterry Codrington or even Corey Hammond. No, I didn't say that, Corey. If Corey listens to this, I only say good things about Corey. No, he's a great guy. I think that's the different folks coming into this league with different sort of backgrounds and different experience, like turning it into something that's just really, really interesting and, something you maybe don't expect. I think that was the kind of part of what UFC early said. You weren't sure what was going to happen. Something was going to happen, but it often was not exactly what you expected. So this season, I think we got some of that. Maybe we had a good idea that the BIC was going to be as good as it was, and they had figured, but it was like a mixture, right? Like they put, if you were really watching it, like where they put courage, like they shuffled their lineup a little bit, and just like that change just gave them all the weapons they needed to really go out there and really take it from Patterson, I think. And who knows what will happen next season. I'm excited because we get the way we do it. We have these local owners, and if I'm going over and babbling or something, you can just stop me.
Oh no, go ahead.
But I'm excited for guys to come in and figure out how to get a great team. We just have started where the teams in Orlando, they're good. The good team there. The Force out of Vegas, Derek Duncan, outstanding owner there. Like how are they going to get the play? I want them to see the level of the old school teams and bring teams to take them on. And when we got teams in Ohio, there are players in Ohio that are just going to be I just want to see those guys, showing up and playing. And who knows? There may be some big international thing we do or something like that. But I think it's just like across the board, like that's really interesting to me because I love seeing those teams play, but I also would love to see who else is out there. Who else is not playing right now? And it was actually Cam Newton who we were talking to at some point, and he said something like, every guy like me knows someone who, players who were faster, who were stronger, and who were better football players that didn't make it. And, I was like, and he goes, this is the league for those guys. And I was like, that is exactly it, Cam. You are right. Exactly. That's who this league is supposed to be for. And we are looking for those guys. And when we find all those guys and we put them together, I think this is a really fun way to watch football. And I think we really have some great athletes now. I think we'll have some more great athletes. And it's still in that discovery phase, right? Like we're still getting to, we get some young players in. We still have some of the older ones. And, we just start this movement of like, how good can these guys get? And not to knock any other professional football league, but when you're playing in helmets and pads in a stadium that doesn't have a lot of fans, with players who did not make NFL rosters, it looks like, not football, but not good enough to be NFL. And I understand that problem. I've seen it in the mixed martial arts world when we, with the UFC, as these competitors tried to come up and, grab us or grab our fighters and tried to, today I see this all the time. Every fight organization in the world says, we are the number 2 fight organization along with the UFC. Oh my gosh. But I think that's a real problem. And so it may be that those businesses can survive. It may be that those other markets will want teams enough, and that those, that the TV ratings are enough and they can sell enough advertising. But I think they just suffer from this problem that they just don't look that good compared to the NFL. And I think that's just really, I don't know. Yeah, they're going to try a lot of stuff. And, if you had The Rock, you could do all kinds of things. Who knows what that'll be. But I think that's, our biggest advantage is that we have kind of threaded the needle between what football looks like for people who think about the NFL. We're not the Arena League. It's not crazy. And we're not just another like RC Cola to their Coca-Cola. That doesn't mean RC Cola is not I don't know. Is that still in business? I'm not really sure. But
They're,
you know,
they're around.
yeah. But I'm saying it's probably a pretty decent sized business. But I think that's what I'm not personally. I'm not that interested in being RC. I'm interested in being something else. And I mean, not to take the drink metaphor too far, but like you can see different drink categories over the last 20, 30 years have come around. Water. I mean, when I was a kid, you couldn't buy water in a bottle. I don't think. Now that's a long time ago, but the times have changed significantly. And so I think where you try to do these other leagues that are like how to go after the NFL with another spring football league, I think it's a tough go. And I'm not sure fans love it. I think there's a big interest in football, and I think we've just got our own lane. And that's what we did with UFC. And I think for the A7FL, that's kind of the secret to our success. We've got our own lane, and we're doing things very differently. But if you watched UFC when we first did UFC, and you like fights, you would like the UFC. Period. Like you wouldn't go, oh, I don't know if this fight. Yes, a few people, but I mean, 98% of people who like fights were like, oh my god, this is awesome. I think if you like football and you watch A7FL, you have the same feeling. You go, holy crap, I like this, and it's fast and it's fun, and you see some great stuff. So anyway, that's what I like about us, that it's not just a retread. It's in our own lane, doing our own thing. And anyway, that's what attracted me to it. Back to your original question, why did I do it? I like that stuff. I like trying to find our own way, and it's a little longer path sometimes, but hopefully it's one that'll work out for everybody.
I definitely think the grind is definitely gonna be successful and everything for you guys, because again, we see it in a certain light. We want to help promote it. We want to help get it out there. We want to help bring it here to Northern California somehow, some way, because we know we have an abundance of athletes out here that would love to, maybe get a shot at this.
Most definitely.
So so it's definitely something that we're excited to see the growth and to hopefully be a part of it somehow, some way. But we're definitely excited for the upcoming season. We are, again, you didn't have to give us this much time, but all the info, the stories, everything, it's awesome to hear. We appreciate you for coming on. And like we tell everybody else, the door is always open. You want to come in and talk about anything, just let us know when we're here.
I appreciate it. Well, like I said, I do see similarities in early UFC and what we're doing with A7FL, and that's what excites me. So I appreciate that it excites you guys as well. And you might see a team in Northern California sooner than you imagine. You never know.
I hope so. Because I want to be I don't know how I can be able to. I'll call games for free, to be honest with you. Because like you guys got a team out there in the East Coast. You got Matt and Corey and Rob. You can get me and Kay and DJ Madstix and stuff like that.
Well, I'm gonna pull a cord. I'm gonna go ahead and say that now. If they get out here in North Carolina, I'm pulling a cord for sure.
I'm hopping on a team.
I'm definitely gonna play. I'm playing.
Get it started, man. I mean, we're always open to this stuff, but that's what it takes. People who are like see it and then want to play and want to bring other guys into it, and then they got to try it a little bit. I think it does take a little while after you've been playing in helmets and pads for a long time to go back to that. At least for me, when I was a kid and we were in somebody's backyard, to like see how that is with grown men who moving a lot faster and a lot stronger. But then you realize, especially our league, the guys all have jobs, or most of them have jobs. They got something to do during the week, and they should have jobs. And they're playing tough, but they're not playing to hurt each other. And we've done what we can with the rules, and you see it. It's not like a patty cake league or something like that. It's not meant to be. But those guys want to get out there and play hard, and they want to be able to go to work the next day, and they want to be able to play the next week. So I think it has this like, again, I'm not saying we thread the needle the right way on everything, but I do think we have the mixture there it makes it tough, but not so tough that you get so banged up that you can't play again, or you get you see guys definitely get banged up a little bit in different ways, but it's you see the guys are playing year after year, season after season. You see them, they're out there. And that's that's cool because it tells you that like it as tough as it is, it isn't knocking them out of the game. And for us, that's important too, because like I said, I have a personal interest, you can imagine, in traumatic brain injury, research in that, and CTE, and anything I can do to make the sport a little safer. I'm not saying you have to make every sport perfectly safe. You're never going to, but I think certainly we're adding to the mixture here and sort of saying, hey, this is something different, and maybe this will be something kids pick up. And parents will let their kids play. I know today they might look at it and go, "That looks crazy. I don't want." But they'll take it. They'll start to see. Just like if you go in a dojo now, you see kids training for mixed martial arts. Parents see it over time and they get used to it. So I think that for us is kind of where we're headed. And I think like I said, I appreciate you guys, fans. I appreciate you ragging on Corey a little bit. Don't bring me into it. I see him too often for that. But again, we take ourselves, we don't take ourselves too seriously. And, I think that's the fun of the game. That's the fun of the new stuff. And like I said, if we were NFL, a very different mindset, but ours is, how do we have fun? How do we make it fun for people? And, how do we showcase these guys' talents? So we're doing what we can. Listen, I appreciate it, guys. I got to run, but thank you so much for having me. And, I appreciate your fandom and bringing me and the other guys on your show.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen of the JAFFO Army, please welcome again David Issacs. We appreciate you, sir. We'll see you again. Talk to you
guys.
soon.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
All right. Oh, there he is. Now Matt Six can finally come in. Ladies and gentlemen, that was David Issacs, co-founder of the UFC. Board member of the A7FL, helping that come to light and everything. Wealth of knowledge, wealth of information. I'm sure he can go on longer and longer. And we'd love to be able to sit here and be able to talk to him forever, but that's just not the case. And so we now need to get back into football. The game is over. Bills and Rams. Bills went and put smackdown on the Rams, 31-10. And DJ Matt Six wants to come up here and talk his shit because Josh Allen got 38 points,
4 tutties,
and Stephon Diggs got the 30 points if you round up.
Oh, you can feel the man's joy, huh?
So 40, so 70 points from 2 players essentially, and I got a whopping 6 from my kicker.
Oh, you finna get your ass whooped real royally.
He thought he was winning. He thought he was winning going into this game.
It depends on what everybody else does, man.
It don't even matter at this point.
Oh shit! Talk that shit.
It don't matter. You got a 70-point deficit to catch up on.
What happened? Whoa! You got a Oh, you got a kicker all of a sudden? Now it's all I
picked up the kicker.
The champ can do it without a kicker. I guess not.
I still got my kicker ain't even played yet, and I'm still beating you. So this kicker don't make a difference just to fill in that slot.
I had only 1 kicker. I was like, God damn it! It's only 10 points too. A fucking 50-yarder and a 1.
Hold on, you said the champ. You said the champ just got a kicker. I mean, I've been had Justin Tucker. What you talking about? I got the best kicker in NFL history. What are you talking about?
I'm really trying. Oh, okay, so I'm obviously looking at me versus Mad Six. Let me look at everybody else here. And by the way, the Bills beat the shit 31-10. It was every bit that 30-1-10.
Stafford shit the bed. All them picks he threw.
Stafford
he did exactly what I've been saying.
He threw hella picks.
He sucked, bro.
And then Jalen Ramsey got burnt.
He get
on Diggs. I don't know if you've seen that highlight, Chad, but wait till you see that highlight where Stephon Diggs burnt the shit out of Jalen Ramsey.
Yo, I saw it.
Yeah, that's
I looked at
yards.
When you put that shit in the group, I knew exactly who the fuck did it.
Yep.
He said he burnt the shit out of Ramsey. I knew exactly who the fuck he was talking about.
Yeah, that fool about 20. He had to slow down to catch up with the ball.
Yo. Man, look, I've been telling motherfuckers exactly what the fuck they just seen. Everybody was like, they the champs. I'm like, bro, Aaron Donald went out of his mind to get that last sack. Because realistically, if the fucking Cincinnati coaching staff would have did the right thing and goddamn max protect double Donald, we'd be having Cincinnati. Joe Burrow the guard. Joe Burrow the guard and have a goddamn ring.
Mm-hmm.
But that's neither here nor there. What it is here and there. Matt Stafford sucking, Josh getting his ass whooped in fantasy. So this both of this shit.
So far. It's only Thursday. You gotta wait 2 more days for this shit to really fucking unfold.
Very
How
true.
it goes.
Very true. Now I will say this.
I'm not projecting to lose by much.
I got Cooper Kupp on my team. He just got me 34. So I ain't really too much tripping.
Not in the JAFFO league, you did not.
Josh Allen had 42. That shit pissed me off. But then I remembered I had Cooper Kupp and I looked and he got 34. So I was like, all right, I ain't really worried about it.
That's definitely in this other league because the Draymond ball kicking fucking team that I'm looking at right here has got a nice whopping 5.
Wow. Oh, I'm in another league. Another league. I'm looking at the other league then.
That's what I'm saying. You're looking at it.
I got Cooper Kupp in another league.
Oh man, Caleb's not going to be happy about this.
Oh yeah, I was looking at the other league.
He's got Allen. He started Allen Robinson, 1 reception for 12 yards. He got 2 points.
No, and he had Bass.
He had Bass got 8 points, and then Edmonds, the linebacker for the Bills, got him 8 points.
Yeah, but Darnold got me 5. Granted, he didn't do that much, but I still got good chance. I got Vita Vea, I got Jamel Dean, and I got Michael Parsons. I feel like all of those guys are gonna play well.
It's still looking like Caleb's gonna beat you, but
I mean, just based on the projections, but they still not understanding. They projected Allen Robinson to have 14 points. They was completely fucking wrong on that. I knew Allen Robinson wasn't going to do shit because I knew Matthew Stafford wasn't going to do shit. That's pretty much how the fuck that goes. It's a down trickle effect.
I had Cam Akers in my other league. He was projected to get 14 points. He got a nice whopping 0. He barely played at all this game.
Loud immersive.
So I was kind of like, oh, well, I guess I know who I'm sitting on the fucking bench next week.
Yeah.
And picked a hell of a fucking day for the Rams defense to suck today.
You still got to understand. You think Joe Burrow, the God, only going to get 24 against the damn Pittsburgh Steelers? Come on, man.
No, he'll get 30. Easy. At least 30. Okay, so who else? All right, you know what? Let me really break this down. Who else does Matt Sticks have? To where if I really look at it, it's kind of he's got Mike Evans. Okay, well, that's gonna help his cause.
Yeah, I got Mike Evans. I got Tony Pollard. I got Josh Jacobs. I got Dallas Goddard from Philly, the tight end. I got Robert Woods from Tennessee.
Yeah.
This is ugly for you. Now I will say this. Hold
on. Let's see. I got Kirk Cousins.
You gonna get?
He's not gonna do shit.
Yeah, he's not about to do shit.
He's gonna give you like 11 points.
Damn, disrespectful.
I got AJ Brown, Rashad Bateman.
Don't expect much there.
I am praying to heaven on earth that fucking McCaffrey stays healthy.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Javonte Williams, Darren Waller, Chase Edmonds, and then I got Cincinnati's defense against Pittsburgh. I got Devin White, Justin Simmons, Hubbard, and Wilson from Cincinnati, the DN and the linebackers.
So most of your points is going to come from Devin White.
Devin White's projected to get me 10 points.
I stand by my statement.
You don't think Javonte Williams is playing against a shitty Seattle defense? I figure he'll get me at least 20.
The Broncos is finna let Javonte Williams go and they got Russell motherfucking Wilson? You seriously think they gonna let Russell throw the ball 50 times? Come on.
They'll throw it to Javonte Williams out of the backfield.
Fam.
I'll get reception
You
points out of that. That's fine.
seriously don't think Russell's not like, bro, Javonte Williams gonna be lucky if he get 10. Bro, they finna have Russell Wilson unleash on
I'm
the
not gonna let you guys talk me down on this. I'm not. No.
I promise you, bro.
Not gonna
I
let you.
promise
We're
you.
supposed to be teaming against these motherfuckers, you assholes.
This is inter-team battle. I can be bipartisan, and you about to get your ass whooped, man.
Fucking Gustavo, he calls me. He's like, "Hey, McCaffrey's on the IR." I'm like, "What the fuck did you just say?" He's like, "He's on the He's like, "He's on the IR." I'm like, "I looked it up." He's like, "Oh, he's got a shin thing." I was like, "Where'd you get IR to?" It said IR. I'm like, "That's injury report, you idiot, not the fucking injured reserve." It's like he got cleated in practice, so he's got a little cut on his shin. He's fine. He's gonna play this week. This motherfucker, he's on the IR. Shut your mouth. Oh, he's scaring the shit out of me. I'm like, he hadn't even seen the field yet, and he's already hurt. It's like,
At this point, and the way his career been going, if you hit injury report for him, you gotta think he finna hit. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna be honest with you. If McCaffrey gets hurt this year for an extended period of time, never be able to use him really, man, I gotta say that's the end of ever drafting Christian McCaffrey for anything ever.
Oh yeah,
I don't care how good he does.
2 seasons ago.
Yeah. I just went with. I mean, you think about the workload and what the whole thing is whether or not he can stay healthy. If he can stay healthy this year, he might help me. But
if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk.
As a motherfucker. Ah! Hey.
hold on, I got. Hold on.
Oh, don't be like that. If I had a rock, I'll bust your head, bitch.
This funny. Now I will say this.
Oh no.
Besides the fact that you're doing that, I feel like both of the Pineda brothers are losing this week, man. Both of the Pineda brothers is losing this week, man. I don't care what this projection say. I'm telling you right now, Herbert finna have a rough night.
Who's he playing?
He playing Vegas. He gonna have a rough night. Yeah, all right.
Yep, Josh Jacobs finna run on that ass. He finna give me about 18, 20 points. Pollard gonna give me about 16, 17. Evans gonna give me about 14. Godare gonna give me about 10. Woods gonna give
the running back's gonna get more than my dog. Crazy as hell. Crazy as hell right now, man. Sticks.
Yeah, because Dallas defense finna lock that fool down.
That shit don't even go together in a sentence. Like,
dude. You just watch. You watch. I can't wait for this week.
Shit don't even sound right. Nobody.
You just wait for this week.
Man, I ain't gotta wait for nothing. I know the outcome of this story. This like when peanut butter met jelly. What are you talking about?
I'm gonna pop back in on the next show.
Damn. You already made 3 roster changes.
I'm gonna have the background ready for you as soon as I see you in the docket. He gonna be sitting there waiting on you all day, waiting on you.
I said he's already tinkering with all of this shit. He's already made 3 moves. Goddamn.
Oh yeah, man. He ain't playing with you, Josh. I promise you that.
All he did was add a kicker for this week. He didn't really touch the starting lineup.
I mean, shit, he really didn't have to be honest with you, after I looked at his lineup.
Oh.
Now, I will say this. That Robinson motherfucker move for Caleb is going to shoot him in the ass. He going to be mad than the motherfucker this weekend, boy. Ooh, he going to be mad.
What, Allen Robinson?
What? Yeah, Allen Robinson, and he got Pierce. He got Pierce starting to go against his Colts. I'm like, come on, bro. We both understand what's about to happen. I understand, you know what I'm saying, you're a realist about your team, but come on, dog. The Texans, come on, dog.
I mean, he's still got a pretty good chance here. You know,
man, both the Pineda brothers drafted a high-level risk running back. That's fucking hilarious.
Austin Eckler's a high-level risk? Oh, Saquon.
That's why I went with Pollard. I wasn't even finna like get a start. I'm like, I'll go with Pollard as a safe bet.
Hey, I can't laugh too hard. I got Raheem Mostert. He for sure go. Raheem at least play 5 games though. You know what I'm saying? He give you 5 games, so he gonna do well against New England.
I still found it hilarious. He had CD Lamb.
All right.
That auto draft really fucked you on that one.
Here we the fuck go. I should start Aaron Rodgers.
CD Lamb's day looking ass.
I think Aaron Rodgers gonna go stupid, but I'm not 100% sure.
The Mixon one was a good pick.
Oh, Joe Mixon, yeah, that was a good auto draft. They did me well there. They're like, all right, we gotta make up for it because we kind of hold them.
Back to back there.
Man,
I was actually wondering. I was like, why are you not? But then I mean, Joe Burrow versus Pitt, Rodgers versus Minnesota. Can't really go wrong either way there.
I know, and that's the decision I'm really kind of mulling over right now. I'm like, shit, do I start Rodgers? Do I start Burrow? I don't know because Aaron Rodgers always kill motherfuckers in the division, but he always plays shitty in the first beginning of the year, so I don't know.
Just stick with Burrow. He's got the more. You just gotta hope that Burrow only throws to fucking Jamar Chase or somebody else other than T. Higgins.
Well, I don't give a fuck. I got Tyler Boyd. He's a slot. So
yeah, but you don't have him in. Oh yeah, you do have him in.
Aha! That's what I'm saying. So
you literally got damn near the entire fucking. I can't really say. I got 2 guys from the Cincinnati defense.
No, I got Vita and Jamel Dean. That's it.
Yeah.
But I made sure to get Parsons because I know Parsons gonna go off because that's what Mastix told me for what 2 years. He's been in the league 2 years so far.
Yep.
Yeah, Mastix been telling me that the whole time. So I can't. Why would I knock him? He's a Cowboy fan. I'm gonna get your best player.
Shit, the rate we going, he is. Fucking Dak, man. I'm over these fools.
Another thing at Dak, dude, my brother fucked me up when it came to the draft because he got Justin Herbert, and that fucking caused an avalanche of people drafting quarterbacks. I was like, God damn it! I was gonna get Jalen Hurts, but no. Fucking Caleb had to go and get Justin Herbert right off the goddamn bat.
Me and Caleb had my background. That's what we had. We came into this draft like, all right. After they fucking did me with CeeDee Lamb, I'm like, okay. So everybody got solid picks. All right. Time to shake this motherfucking ant pile. Give me motherfucking Aaron Donald and motherfucking goddamn Michael Parsons. Pick defense now. So I could go get a fucking receiver. And shout out to y'all for not picking up Hunter Renfrow. That's exactly what I needed. I needed another receiver. That's how I got Hunter Renfrow and Tyler Boyd. I appreciate you guys.
Shit, in my other league, I was able to pick up Kels and Kittle.
See, I had an opportunity like that too, but I ain't even do that. So in my other league,
why would you do that though?
My roster in my other league is crazy.
I say, why would you do that?
I got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Devontae Williams. I got Devontae Smith. I got Williams from the Broncos, Trevor Etienne, fucking Dawson Knox, fuck ass. I got Gasky, you always the tight end from Miami. I'll never say his name right.
Gesicki?
Yeah, thank you. Kyler, Devontae Parker. I got Julio, Hines, and Rashad White. And you know I gotta get Tuck Dog. Tuck Dog go every time. I got Tampa defense. I feel like I'm finna run shot.
I'm gonna find a way to get Jalen Hurts on my fucking team. You mark my words.
You want Jalen Hurts? Terrible.
Yeah, I wanted him handcuffed with AJ Brown.
How about this? How about I make you a ridiculously one-sided trade to give you Aaron Rodgers?
I'm listening.
All right, I'm telling you, I'm finna skeleton your team. I'm just letting you know, I'm skeleton your team, my guy.
Wait, you're saying one-sided as if it benefits you only?
Well, yeah, you get Aaron Rodgers. He plays well in the regular season.
What will it take for Aaron Rodgers?
I'm looking at your team right now. Fuck. It's tough.
Because I got to see what you need.
Go check me out.
I'm checking. I'm looking.
I don't really need much.
Oh. Draymond's ball kicking fetish. That's so funny. Let's see. Got an abundance of tight ends, which I do not need.
Well, you gonna need one. If you thought Darren Waller wasn't coming, he coming. Oh, yes, he's coming. I'm gonna give you one back, but shit.
You already have Kyle Pitts. What the fuck?
And I'm gonna have Darren Waller with him.
No way. That would be dumb. That would be dumb of me.
Hey man, look, you need a quarterback bad as a motherfucker.
Not that bad.
Aaron Rodgers guaranteed 30 points. You got Dak and Kirk Cousins. Fam, you lucky to goddamn get out of a house.
Let me see here. Aaron Rodgers, you actually need a better running back because I have the starting Miami running back when you have the third string Miami running back as your number 2. And your third running back is J.D. McKissick, who's the number 3 behind Gibson and other dude. McKissick's the 2? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you got to really you only have 3 running backs.
Right.
And 2 of them
are backups. That's guaranteed to play though. Because the teams that they're on, they're guaranteed to play. Because of the way they run the ball, the way they play the ball. Because now the Miami Dolphins have your old offensive coordinator, and you know how y'all used to run the ball.
So I'm looking at right here. J.D. McKissick is literally only owned in 1% of leagues.
Yeah.
All right, so obviously you need a running back more than. So this is gonna have to be. And you only have Rodgers and Burrow. So then for me,
I got Trevor Lawrence, family. You do not see him right there. That's why I'm willing to give up Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. Okay. If you think Trevor Lawrence is not going to go out there go crazy, you're out of your mind.
So then that gives me even more incentive to. I don't have to give up ass to get Aaron Rodgers. I do not.
That's different. Because, to be honest with you,
I could give you.
AJ Brown's really more of a question mark than people understand because Jalen Hurts is not a big thrower. So
Jalen Hurts was a top 3 fantasy quarterback last year. I don't know what you're talking about.
He was the leading rusher of the NFL.
Miles Sanders is back with the team now.
I'm still confused on how is Miles Sanders not fucking goddamn Christian McCaffrey Sr.
About the same too. Let's see. I could give you Chase Edmonds.
Yeah. I don't need all the Miami running backs. I'm cool.
I've got Ramondre Stevenson.
Nah.
I got.
The only one I would actually take is Williams, but that's why I said Williams is not big enough for Aaron Rodgers. That's not a head-to-head trade.
Well, yeah, no, head-to-head wise, yeah, that's not.
Yeah, it would be a multiplayer trade, which you would have to have somebody equivalent to Aaron Rodgers, which would be Darren Waller. And that would be the only person that I'll probably take from your offense and give you back a tight end because I got 3 good ones. You see how that works, coach?
Not doing that.
See?
Can't do it.
Well, good luck with the hip throw.
No, can't do it. I can't not have a good tight end on my team. I just can't.
I mean, you would get a good tight end in return. It just wouldn't be the level of the guy that you had.
Well, that's exactly the problem.
No, not necessarily. You got a good top quarterback. It would kind of offset because Aaron Rodgers produced the same, maybe more than Darren Waller. But both of those players together average about what Aaron Rodgers averaged. See what I'm saying? Because they not running heavy with Buddy. I'm telling you, Russell Wilson about to throw that bitch about 50 times. They finna let him do revenge. Especially the way he done took over the country with that let's ride bullshit. Man, Denver finna be like, we're back. Throw this motherfucker. Throw it.
I gotta look at your team one more time. Because your tight ends, it's mostly all potential. It's not guaranteed.
I'm confused on what's not guaranteed.
One, Fryermuth is up in the air because we don't even know who the fuck the starting quarterback's going to be the entire year.
Well, Trubisky's starting now, so that's kind of all that fucking matters.
Just now. You have Kyle Pitts, which obviously you're not going to give up.
And Cameron Brate, which is the starting tight end right now with Brady. So, and we all know how much Brady throws to the tight end. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to say it like this. Cameron is not even close to Gronk, but he was very reliable for Jameis Winston.
Yeah, but he's
catching ducks.
The only one that makes sense
is Fairmouth.
Is Fairmouth in that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
that's like
I would have gave you him. You'd have get points. He projected to get 10 against Cincinnati, good ass defense. So you see what I'm saying? Like,
I don't need 10. I need like 15. I need 15, 20.
30 from Rodgers, so that's 40 in total. That closes the gap. But you got to kind of the rest of the Mad 16 don't get the same song in their email that tear the club up by fucking Beat King and Gangsta Boy. If they hear that shit, it is pretty much over for you, family. That'll be the end of that day. And to be honest with you, like I said, I feel like for him, I feel like the next player to go bonkers, the Mad Sticks, is probably going to be Jacobs, to be honest with you. I actually, no, not against the Chucks. Not against motherfucking Khalil Mack. Hell no. Let me chill. Shit. To be honest with you, everybody else going to have a pretty average day. Maybe Hooker for the Tennessee Titans because fucking Danny Dimes going to get that bitch up. Unless they starting Tyrod Taylor. And he might have a pretty average day. Well, I'll say Mike Evans, but I don't really know the game plan. I will say Mike gonna get a lot of targets. He's gonna get more points than he probably get 20 against Josh defense.
I'm looking at everybody's roster right now to see who they got.
Your best trade is with me, and you know it.
Maybe not.
I mean, shit. You can get Trevor Lawrence and you can Darren Waller, but you can give up the running back and somebody the fuck else.
Am I tripping? Or does Rock only has one quarterback? That's Tom Brady. That's it. I definitely can't trade with him. He's only got one quarterback. I'm not helping my nephew out at all. I'm going to let him take this beating like he needs.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Fuck, man. I might have to just roll with who I got.
Right, Yeah. I mean, shit. You had a good trade on the table. You had a good trade on the table. Now watch Aaron Rodgers can go for 35. Josh gonna be like, "Fuck." And you know it because it's liable to happen. You're like, fuck.
Yeah.
And Kirk Cousins gonna have a whopping 12.
I'm gonna have to really dig deep in this because we're going over time here. But we're gonna have to figure this out. But ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. Matchsticks making an appearance, talking his shit on fantasy football. So he had to do that with the first day of the season. Coming out once again, the Bills manhandled the Los Angeles Rams 31-10. And it's already looking like my hopes of fantasy football glory are going down the toilet. So, appreciate you guys once again for hanging out. We appreciate David Isaacs for giving a good amount of his time talking about the UFC and a little bit of A7FL. Coming back Monday to talk basically all things football going on this weekend, from college football to the NFL. Corey Hammond once again on Monday joining us. And you guys already know all the places to find us. The JAFFOs AP on Twitter, Predator Bros Productions, Alpha PvP on Twitter, and when you go to just Predator Bros Productions for YouTube and Facebook, Instagram, JAFFO Sports, you guys see all the handles for each one of us to be able to find us individually. Twitch for PvP Studios, and we're going to be keeping you guys updated on what's going on in the JAFFO Fantasy League, who is going to win the $200, the championship t-shirt, and still pending whether or not a ring, a belt, or a trophy. We'll see how that ends up turning out. But once again, for myself, JP, for the 610 Beast from the Southeast, Mr. Country K, and for DJ Matchsticks, we'll see you guys on Monday. Deuces.
Aloha.